A decision to draw or retreat has been reached. Inserting oneself into a domestic altercation takes experience and the ability to control the situation.
Hey! Hey, hey, hey! Hey, stop!
Highly volatile, sometimes deadly, one man driven by a sense of fairness reacts instinctively. Stop the Threat starts now. Hello and welcome to Stop the Threat. My name is James Towle. On today's episode, we're taking you to Wisconsin, where we will reenact a crime in which a driver, on his way home, witnesses a man beating up on a woman and stops to render aid. We call this one Right Place, Right Time. Let me introduce you to this week's panel. Don Clark. Don was with the FBI for 25 years. Don supervised many high-profile cases, including the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center. Kathy Jackson, author and one of the most recognized female defensive handgun instructors in the country. Marc MacYoung, author of In the Name of Self-Defense, and many, many other books and videos. But let me get right to an email that I received from one of our listeners, and his name is Joe, and he asked this rather long question, and I'll try to be as quick as I can with it. He said, as an armed citizen, I have a scenario. An armed citizen is walking downtown and is approached by a rough-looking man who asks for money. But the armed citizen refuses and says no. The person asking for the money now closes the distance between them. He's walking towards them rapidly. The armed citizen steps back. He does put his hand on his weapon, but he's now afraid to draw his weapon. He's not. The listener is asking, what should I do? Because he's afraid if he draws his weapon, he may be charged with brandishing or something like that. At what point, he's asking, do I commit to what I should do? Go.
What we're looking at here is a situation where you need options for boundaries and force other than nothing or deadly. The more options you have, the more you can establish boundaries, the more you can communicate, the better your chances of not having to shoot are.
Okay, Don?
Well,
about 30 seconds.
One of the things real quick is that an individual has to really look at the situation and see it and kind of determine, do I need to pull my gun or do I need to just maybe take a step back? Maybe pulling the gun at that time may not be the best thing to do right then. It's not always the best thing immediately, but you still got to protect yourself. So if he pulls it out, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. What do you think, Kathy?
Circumstances alter cases. That's pretty much, everybody wants a kindergarten answer to a college level question. If you want to be able to answer a question like that on the spur of the moment, you need training not just in how to use a firearm, but in how to use your brain in a high-stress situation.
Yeah, and take control of the situation.
Right.
When we come back, I'm going to show you part one of Right Place, Right Time. Don't go away. Welcome back. We're going to Wisconsin, where an individual on his way home is witnessing an attack on a woman, and he now makes a decision to stop. Let's watch part one.
hey, stop! Stop!
Okay, we can see right now that this situation is a really, really difficult one for, put yourself in the place of the driver. You see what's going on. What are your options here? Is this a draw or retreat situation?
I don't think it's a retreat situation, but I think you have to figure out something else maybe to do, depending, because you don't know if this person has a gun. If you don't have a gun and you're not able to do anything along that line, you may be in a situation that you may want to say, let me back off and see if I can call somebody or do something with my cell phone or whatever.
All right, I like that, Don. But if you had a weapon, would that immediately allow you to say, okay, I'm going to get out and be involved?
I would be more encouraged to do it if I had a weapon, but I might also back off as well, depending on the circumstances of the other individual.
Okay, let me ask you this, Kathy. Is there anything wrong with being a good observer? Could he not stop the car, see what's going on, lean on the horn, and call 911?
Only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. People in the firearms community tend to quote that as a way of saying, oh, we have to use our firearms for everything. But as you just pointed out, there are a whole lot of things that you can do that don't necessarily involve the firearm. Now, that said, we saw the setup, what happened before he saw what was happening. He may or may not have. When you pull a gun, you are gambling everything that you own. You're gambling your home, your ability to watch your kids grow up in person, your ability to sleep with the person you love. You're gambling all of that. Before you intervene, it's good to be overwhelmingly sure of the circumstances, to take a gamble that size.
Okay, number one, we don't know yet he pulled a gun.
Right.
Okay, we don't know that yet, but Mark, go ahead.
Okay, there's a couple things. Number one is domestics are a nightmare. Walking into a domestic, that is, I mean, speaking as a professional, I don't want to be there. They suck. Having said that,
but do we know that this was a domestic?
There's a hesitation when you see a man and a woman in a conflict, and even if there's a strike. The fact of the matter is that she was down, and he was kicking her. Now, the shod human foot is considered a lethal weapon in a lot of states, and rightly so.
Okay.
So what we're looking at is that this isn't just rolling up on a standard domestic. This is a life-threatening situation. So all the people who talk about, you know, draw or retreat, this is one of those things that the need to act is more immediate.
You know, I got to tell you that this really appeals to the man in every man.
Yes.
If you're driving along, I don't care what time, day or night, you see a fight going on where a woman's on the ground, you're almost, it's everything in your body is telling you to stop the car and get out and get involved.
Right.
Now, and we're going to take the man space of doing that, but I'm going to add some brains onto this, which is not always synonymous. The difference between seeing a fight where two people are arguing, Don, may I borrow you for a moment? I need you to hit me upside the head.
Yeah.
Right, boom. Okay, if you see that, that's one thing. If I'm down and he's stomping on me, that's not a fight anymore. That's an escalation.
Yeah, but I know the difference there is two guys, and I can drive by two guys fighting and call 911.
And standing there and punching,
unless it's an elderly man on the ground, or a woman on the, or a child on the ground. Don, I know you're going to roll out of the car. You're not going to sit there.
No, you're right. Whether it's a domestic or not, if you see a man outside and he is beating on a woman outside, I think most men, if we're speaking of men, would probably say, hey, I'm going to have to try to do something here.
Right.
I don't care if it's his wife or not. If he's beating this lady, you know, at that point, the wife issue goes down, and we're talking about a safety issue here and a health issue.
Right, and it could be a child that he's beating up on.
Absolutely.
You know, it could be an elderly person he's beating up on. Any time that you are going to see an inequity in the fight situation and someone's on the ground and the dominant person is on top, as men, we're pretty much going to commit it to
Agreed.
stop.
But that's no
and
longer
I don't
fight
even
anymore.
know that we think long enough to go, do I have a gun? How am I going to? I think we're stopping. I just think we're stopping.
And excuse me, didn't mean to step on you, but the stepping back and calling attention at a distance is a good pattern interruption.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that I have seen ladies, females, jump in there and do the exact same thing and take them away from there. So it's all of us that's got to do that.
It's not uniquely a male thing.
Okay, we come back, I'll show you part 2. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. We're in Wisconsin. It's late at night. You're driving, and you see a fight taking place between a man standing over a woman, kicking her. And we are commenting on exactly what your reaction is going to be. I think I know, and I think we can all agree on what every male's action is going to be here. But let me show you part 2, and maybe that'll tell us a little bit more.
Hey! 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 Look! Hey! Hey! Stop! Okay! Get on the ground! Yeah, I got a guy at gunpoint. I'm at the 1900 block of 100th Street. Looks like he was kicking a woman pretty severely. Send paramedics. He's becoming aggressive again. Stay right there, I'll shoot! I mean it! Get on the ground! I guarantee I'll shoot! Get against the wall! Put your hands behind your head. Both hands! Both hands behind your head. On your knees. Cross your legs. Cross your legs! You have a permit for that gun? Yes, it's in my wallet in my back rear pocket.
Put your hands down. Tell me what happened here.
Guy was kicking this girl. I stopped him.
Okay, there's a lot here. I'm going to kind of start from the back and move forward. I'm not sure, with my experience, that if I were to roll up on a man with a gun holding 2 people or 1 person at gunpoint, that I would come out of the car and kind of pass him by. You know, I'm not sure of that procedure, but I am told it was a small town, and you know, maybe there knew one another. I'm not real comfortable with that. And the question to you as a viewer, I would say, when that takes place, you need to certainly identify who you are to law enforcement, and at the very soonest, you need to holster that gun, because law enforcement is not going to be comfortable with a gun out there if you're not wearing a badge and showing one. What do you think, Don?
Well, you're exactly right, James, because here's the deal, is that if I pull up and I'm a law enforcement person and I've got my badge on here and this person is standing there with the gun, I'm going to have him drop the gun first before I go one step. He may be a police officer someplace, but until he shows a badge, I don't see anything. So he's going to have to drop that gun, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. All right. The other thing, and before I go on, is I thought that there was pretty good voice intimidation here. I have a good friend and a viewer, Walt. I know you're out there, and I know you're going to be sending me an email about this one. I thought the man with the gun had good voice intimidation, and that he took control of that situation quickly. What do you think?
Yes, he did communication. I really liked his communication with the suspect, and I also liked his communication with the 911. That was very good, especially giving the details. With law enforcement, when they roll up, they don't know what's going on. And, you know, if you choose to engage, you need to expect the officers to not trust you until they get the story, until they find out what's happening. The intimidation, I do like his intimidation, but I would have preferred that he backed it up a little before, like have that gun as he's communicating. Because communicating, getting close enough and saying stop without having the means to back it up, that's a little close. So
yeah, that's an interesting point. At what point, if I can repeat myself, do you actually draw the weapon as he did? And yes, he came out of the car. He didn't come out of the car with the weapon up. Right. He came out of the car as most men would want to do, and with the thought of, you know, I'm going to get involved here. What do you think, Kathy?
I think if you get involved in a deadly force situation, you need to be prepared to use deadly force. Right. He did a really good job containing and controlling the situation. However, he did get physically too close.
Right.
He could have controlled that same situation from a greater distance with greater safety to himself.
Right.
Less, I think when we saw the attacker repeatedly try to get up, that was very much a side effect of him being close enough that the attacker thought he could do it.
Right.
So if you can create distance, and especially since he had a vehicle right there, he could have gotten part of his body, he could have gotten the vehicle between him and the attacker and increased the safety to himself while still being able to protect that woman.
Okay, yeah, I like that. And when we come back, we'll have more about it. Welcome back, viewers. We've seen a pretty intense exchange between two men and a woman, I guess you could say. And I think we left with Kathy making some very good points. Let me just ask this question. I like the closing, the distance thing that we were discussing. I wonder, couldn't he have just maybe drawn the weapon and told the bad guy to leave?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, what right did he have? And I shouldn't say right, but he was trying to apprehend him. Is that something that we would want to recommend people to do?
Well,
Not necessary.
He could have done that, but it kind of depends on the individual. And if the individual feels relatively certain that he might be able to contain the situation, the lady was not causing a big problem over there. She was sitting quietly, and he really only had to focus on that one individual was the guy. And the individual seemingly was compliant in some things. So I think he did the right thing. I would not have wanted him to say, go, get out of here, because who knows?
All right, and then let me ask you this. Would it have been a thought to say to the lady, go sit in my car?
Not at the
moment. You leave.
All right, one of the issues that I have here is people are talking in either or. If I pull a gun on somebody and say, leave, that's fine. He can do that, and then I can give a really good officer, I can be, statement to the officer, I can be a great witness. He's wearing this, did this, etc., right? And it stops the immediate danger. That's the primary goal. Stop the danger.
Yeah, see, what bothered me was he stood up at least twice that I can think
Which
of.
is the problem.
And came towards the man with the gun.
Right.
So
let's talk about that. If you have decided that you are the type of person who would, in fact, tell that guy to stay there, then you need the tools to make that happen.
Tools,
and the
training,
tools
and understanding
are in the training. If you want to hold somebody at gunpoint, you need to get them on the ground, face down, hands out, palms up, face away
Right.
from you, ankles crossed, they can't
Right.
get back up in that position. That's
And
why
let me
officers
also
use
add
it's
in there.
called felony prone.
Right.
Right.
Let me
That's
also
why they
answer.
use
Felony
that
prone,
position.
Criminals are familiar with certain things, and when they get that sort of instructions, it's like, oh, you know what you're doing.
Right.
Which makes it less likely for him to stand up and get froggy. It's like this could be a cop off duty.
I'm all
Right.
about not having to shoot somebody.
Right.
If we
It
can
saves
make it
paperwork.
that much less likely by controlling the situation, if indeed you decide, okay, I'm going to keep this guy here.
But why?
But I have absolutely no problem with saying go away.
Yeah,
because
he
the
cannot
goal
run-
is to stop the danger.
Right.
as you
Yeah,
say.
well, he cannot run a Motorola.
I don't think he could have taken control without the gun by
Right.
saying, get him down the ground
no.
and
No,
get him
no,
stretched out.
no.
This guy was not compliant.
That's right.
Right.
That's exactly right. If he didn't take his gun out,
Right.
this guy's going to jump on
Right,
him.
right.
You know, and I think under that circumstance, he had his gun out. Why say you can go ahead on? You know, make him get down. You know, and he did.
Right.
And he did.
Okay.
But
you know?
make him get down in the way that she's talking about. Not just because the up and down, once you take control, you have to be in control.
You got to get him fully compliant.
You need to make sure that you're safe and compliant in that, as I said,
Well-
you know, I agree with
Okay.
what you're saying.
All right, hold on. We just ran out of time. I gotta go, Mark. I hate to end the show. There's so much more that we could be adding to this, and I can't do it today. I'm out of time. So be safe, be trained, be alert. See you again next week.